Okay, we're going to get started on part two of the circles, and that's the area of a circle. We learned how to do the circumference. You guys have that down? Well, the area is not much harder. Now that you know how to do the circumference, here's the deal. The area is just 1/2 of the circumference times the radius. Okay? 1/2 of the circumference. So now that you know how to find the circumference of a circle, right? Now we're going to take that circumference and we're going to go 1/2 the circumference times the radius. Okay? Now, the reason why this works out, if you look at a circle, it was derived from a different formula. Okay? If you look at a circle right here, you can make a circle into a parallelogram. This is just, look, a parallelogram. And we talked about that in the first book. Now we're going to talk about it more in the coming days. But in the first book that I had you guys read, we talked about a parallelogram. That was one of the shapes for the table. And a parallelogram, right here, the area of a parallelogram is A equals base times height. Okay? And so when you look at your base times your height, what we're talking here is this is the radius. See, this is these half markers. Let me kind of change the color here so I can show this to you. Here is, see that right there? That's the same as this right here. See that? Okay. Then, let me get a different color here. This part right here, see that? That ends up being half of the circumference. So it's this part on the circle right here. So that's half of the circumference, half of it. So this is 1/2 of the circumference. So if a parallelogram, the area equals the base, which is, I don't know if you guys can see this when I'm doing it. The base is this part here. The base times the height. Well, on a circle, that's R times 1/2 C. So that's where the formula is derived from. Do you have to know that? Not really. You just need to know that's the formula. And to be honest, you'll be given a formula sheet. So you don't even have to memorize it, but it's better if you understand where it's coming from. Now, knowing that it's 1/2 of circumference times radius, well, what if we don't know the circumference? What if we haven't figured out the circumference? Well, you're going to remember circumference is 2 pi r. Remember that? 2 pi r is the circumference, but then we're going to times it by r. And then we're going to take that in half. Okay? So this is the circumference. This is that radius. This is that height that's over here. Let me make it so you can see my r better. This is the height that is right here. And then 1/2 because we're only half of it. Okay? Now, as you learn math more, you'll understand you can combine these. How many r's do we have? Well, we have 2 r's. So that's r to the second. We have a pi. And then 2 times 1/2, well, that's just 1. So really what happens is we can just take all of that away. We just simplified all of that. And this is the formula that we're going to do. Okay? So based on the diagram above, how is the circumference of the circle related to the length of the parallelogram? Okay? Well, let's just answer this question. The length of the base of the parallelogram is equal to half of the circumference. There we go. Okay, let's finish this out. Area is a surface measurement of a two-dimensional object. Now, the reason why we call it 2 dimensions is we're only using 2 dimensions. We're using base and height. We're using radius and half circumference. We're using just 2 measurements. That's why it's 2-dimensional. It is the square units that cover the circle. Okay? Use the formula A pi r squared, where r is equal to r times r. Okay? Okay, good talk. Let's finish this up down here. So the formula, remember, is A equals pi r squared. So let's plug in the values. And we're going to use pi is going to be 3.14. Okay, so let's plug in the values. Area equals 3.14 times 3 squared. Now that's just saying 3 times 3. That's all that 3 squared is. Remember, this is just saying 3 times 3. We're not saying 3 times 2. We are not saying 3 times 2. We are saying 3 2 times. 3 times 3. So that's going to be 9. So in terms of pi, hold on, we have 9 pi. Because sometimes it'll say just leave pi as pi. Once in a while you'll see that. So we'll have 9 pi. But then if we multiply that out, if we go 3.14 times 9, then area equals 28.26 inches squared, because we had 2 measurements. That's why we do inches squared. Let's do the next one. Formula. A equals pi r squared. A equals, here's our radius. Oh no. Whoa, tricky. This is our diameter. So diameter is the radius equals 1/2 of the diameter, right? So what is 1/2 of that? That's 5 squared and then pi. Okay. So then in terms of pi, area equals 25 pi, because 5 times 5. It's not 5 times 2. Okay, it's 5 times 5. And then area equals 78.5 centimeters squared. Okay, up to the last one on this side, we have 6 meters as the radius. So area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14 times 6 squared. And then area equals 6 times 6 is 36 pi. That's in terms of pi. And then area equals 113.04 meters squared. Okay, let's flip it over. Let's get the back side here. A circle has an area. So now we know the area. We want to find the radius. So the area equals, remember this, pi r squared. Okay. So then we're going to 78. Let's plug in our points. Equals 3.1. Oops. There we go. 3.14. I'm going to try to label this out for you a little bit better. 3.14 times pi times pi. Okay? So let's divide by 3.14. Divide by 3.14. And then we have 25 equals, technically it's 25 equals r squared. What does that mean? R times r. What number times itself equals 25? Well, that would be 5. R equals 5. Because 5 times 5 equals 25. So 5 times 5. There's another way that you could write it. It could have been 25 equals r squared. And what we're doing is we're taking the square root. That's a little bit more advanced math. You're not quite there yet. So just think of it in terms of what times what. What number times itself equals 25? The square root of 25 is 5. So that's r equals 5. Okay, let's do another one. The area is 28.26. And that equals pi r squared. Okay, so we're going to plug in 3.14 for pi. We're going to divide by, that's an equal, not a negative, 3.14. Divide by 3.14. Okay, and then we get 9. If you divide that, that would be 9. So 9 equals r squared. So what number times itself equals 9? Think of it this way again. 9 equals something times something, same number. Well, that would be 3. So the radius equals 3. Okay? Jada says that if you're given the circumference of a circle, you have enough information to find the area of a circle. Is Jada correct? Yes or no? Or why not? I would say yes. Okay? Because if you have the circumference, you could find with circumference, you can find radius. And that would just be using, remember, circumference equals 2 pi radius, right? So we could find the radius. We would just plug in the circumference. We would divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 3 1/4, divide by 3.14, and then we would have the radius. Then we can use that, then use the radius to find the area. So you could do that. Okay. Determine whether the circumference is described in each statement. Oh, is it area or is it circumference? The amount of fencing around a garden, that's circumference. The amount of frosting to cover a cookie, what is that? That would be area. The amount of crust needed to cover a pie, well, that's going to be over the entire, like if you have a pie, that would be the entire pie. So that would be area. The distance traveled on one lap, so one lap around, that would be circumference. Okay, last one. Use the image over here at the right to answer the question. 2 different trees are being planted in an outdoor garden. Each tree requires a specific amount of space for the roots to grow. How much more space will be required of tree 2 than tree 1? Okay. Will tree 2 require? What do you know? You know the radius of each. And we can even figure out the circumference of each. Okay, well, the radius of each. So we know that tree 1 equals 8 feet. And we know that tree 2 equals 9 feet. That's the radius. See right here? That's the circumference. You have to take 1/2 of the circumference, which would give me 8. Okay? I need to know how many more square feet tree 2 will need. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to find the area of each. So area equals pi r squared. Let's do the first one. Area equals 3.14 times 8 squared. So area equals 3.14 times 8 times 8 is 64. Area equals 20096. Okay. This one, area equals pi r squared. Area equals 3.14 times 9 this time, 9 squared. Area equals 3.14 times 81. Area equals 254.34. So now all I have to do is take the 254.34, subtract 200.96, la la la, and I will get 83353. It needs that much square foot more. And we're done. Okay, you have some activities that you can choose from today. Have a great day.